The border between Yu and Beiliang had not yet erupted into war, yet the scent of blood already lingered in the wind. Armies of cultivators and spell warriors gathered in silence, grand formations spreading across the land like invisible fangs, while unseen hands moved pieces in the dark. Behind the looming clash of tens of thousands, ancient devil Dao sects bargained for souls. Hidden sages sharpened their schemes, and a single cultivator carrying forbidden lightning unknowingly became the pivot of fate. When the first strike finally fell, it would not merely decide victory or defeat, but determine who would devour the world that followed. If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. Several days earlier, along the border between the states of Yu and Beiliang, the armies of cultivators and spell warriors moved as one. With the roar of spiritual power, countless magic tools and treasured artifacts struck the earth, carving, shaping, and expanding the land itself. What had once been simple fortifications were forcibly extended, transformed overnight into colossal war camps that stretched tens of kilometers apart, facing one another like slumbering beasts awaiting battle. In a single night, the region was utterly transformed. What had been a barren, desolate expanse now surged with human presence and a palpable aura of killing intent. Groups of cultivators and spell warriors roamed the perimeter of each camp, patrolling ceaselessly, their eyes sharp and spirits taut as bowstrings, ever wary of sudden enemy incursions. As the days passed, more cultivators and spell warriors gathered without pause. Layer upon layer of spell formations were laid down along both sides of the border, causing the air itself to grow heavy and oppressive. From time to time, patrols from opposing sides would encounter one another near the heart of the border. Though they exchanged icy glares filled with hostility, neither side acted rashly. They understood well that fighting now would achieve nothing, and so with great effort they suppressed the bloodlust boiling in their chests, and waited in silence for the day when fate would finally render its verdict. By the sixth day, both the Heavenly South and the Mulan had completed the deployment of their grand formations. Their forces began probing the enemy lines, greatly reducing the number of idle troops within the camps. High-grade cultivators now accompanied these patrols, and behind the scenes, the upper echelons of both factions worked tirelessly, drafting and revising their strategies for the coming war. Skyfirst City lay to the north of the Cultivator war camp. Though restrictions there were comparatively lighter, this was offset by an even greater density of sentries and patrols. At that moment, a group of more than 10 cultivators was calmly patrolling an area over 10 kilometers north of the camp. Leading them was a beautiful woman who appeared to be in her early 20s. She was an early-stage core formation cultivator, while all her subordinates were at the foundation establishment stage. With the battle looming ever closer, none of them dared to relax their vigilance. Though this was merely a routine patrol, every member of the group remained on high alert. Only their leader seemed outwardly composed, her expression serene, yet her powerful spiritual sense had already spread far and wide. Clearly perceiving her surroundings, suddenly her expression shifted. She halted mid-air without warning and turned her gaze toward the distant sky, astonishment flashing across her eyes. Her subordinates quickly followed suit, stopping behind her. Though they saw nothing with their naked eyes, none of them lowered their guard. "Senior Xiaowat?" Before the blue-robed cultivator could finish speaking, a streak of white light suddenly flashed across the heavens, shooting toward them at astonishing speed. So fast, one of the cultivators cried out in shock. In barely the blink of an eye, the streak of light grew blindingly bright, and a vague silhouette could be discerned within it. "It should be that senior who stayed behind," the young woman said calmly. "However, according to regulations, we must still question him. You all remain here for now." Without the slightest trace of fear, she flew forward, her body enveloped in a flash of yellow light. The remaining cultivators exchanged glances, their expressions uncertain, but none dared to speak. They were not disciples of the same sect as the woman, and with their inferior cultivation, they had no standing to object. After flying a short distance, the woman stopped and waited. Moments later, the streak of white light arrived before her, slowing to a halt. At this close range, she could clearly see that it concealed an unusual carriage. "Junior Xiaoquia of Yellow Maple Valley greets Senior," she said respectfully. "Junior has been ordered to inquire after Senior's name. I hope for your understanding." Xiaoquia." A voice filled with surprise rang out from within the white light. "Does Senior recognize this Junior?" Xiao Kuei blinked, astonishment crossing her face. Though the voice did not belong to any nascent soul cultivator, she knew it sounded inexplicably familiar. As she stared at the white radiance in shock, it gradually faded, revealing its true form. It was a peculiar white carriage. Standing upon it were a young man and a young woman. The man wore long azure robes and possessed an unremarkable appearance, while the woman beside him was stunningly beautiful, dressed in pure white. Martial Uncle Han. The moment she saw the man in azure, Xiao Kuei covered her mouth, crying out in disbelief. Her eyes widened, filled with shock and incredulity. "Little girl, you've grown," Han Li said with a faint smile as he examined her. "You're quite different from the last time I saw you." "Martial Uncle Han, it really is you," Xiao Kuei exclaimed joyfully, her expression resembling that of her younger self. "Although Senior Martial Sister Ni and Senior Martial Brother Lei mentioned that you had formed a nascent soul, I found it difficult to believe. It was only by chance that I encountered them," Han Li replied lightly. In the past, he had personally recommended Xiao Kuei to enter Yellow Maple Valley. Though they had not interacted often, he felt a certain closeness toward her, more so than toward Nie Ying or Lei Wanhei, since she was the successor of his senior martial brother Ma. Watching this exchange, Cultivator Song's thoughts stirred. She vaguely recalled hearing that this martial Uncle Han had once been a disciple of Yellow Maple Valley. It seemed he had encountered an old acquaintance. What kind of relationship did they share? Ignoring Cultivator Song, Han Li and Xiao Kuei spoke warmly of the past. She recounted how she had fled from Devil Dao pursuit alongside senior martial brother Ma, how they returned to Yellow Maple Valley, how her master eventually passed away during meditation, and how she herself had managed to form a golden core. Listening, Han Li could not help but feel how profoundly the world had changed since then. After a brief hesitation, Xiao Kuei finally asked Martial Uncle, "Have you truly become an elder of the Drifting Cloud sect? Is it really impossible for you to return?" There was a faint trace of hope in her voice. Yellow Maple Valley was in an awkward position. Though Ancestor Linghu still watched over the sect, there were no nascent soul cultivators to succeed him. Once his lifespan came to an end, Yellow Maple Valley's standing among the 6 sects of Yue would inevitably decline. This weighed heavily upon the hearts of its core formation cultivators, Xiao Kuei included. Knowing that she shared the closest relationship with Han Li, the sect had deliberately assigned her to raise this matter should she encounter him again, hoping their past ties might move his heart. Despite his earlier refusal to Lei Wanhei, she could not help but ask once more. Han Li's smile faded. He shook his head slowly. "I cannot return. The Drifting Cloud sect has treated me well. It is best not to mention this matter again." Xiao Kuei's expression dimmed. "But Yellow Maple Valley will—" Han Li sighed softly. "You needn't worry excessively. I have already reached an agreement with Ancestor Linghu. If Yellow Maple Valley encounters danger in the future, I will lend aid within my abilities." At once, Xiao Kuei's spirits lifted. "So that's how it is. Many thanks, Martial Uncle." After a moment's thought, Han Li took out an emerald ring and a bottle of medicinal pills. "You're thanking me too soon. You were Senior Martial Brother Ma's only disciple, and we haven't met for so long. I cannot simply leave you empty-handed. Take this. It's a magic treasure I obtained after killing a core formation cultivator. Though you can't bind it as your life treasure, it will serve you well in battle after refinement. As for these pills, they will aid your cultivation and help break through bottlenecks." "Many thanks for Martial Uncle's generosity." Xiao Kuei bowed deeply, her face alight with joy as she accepted the gifts. "Very well. I must head to the war camp now," Han Li said. "It wouldn't do to keep those old eccentrics waiting. If fate allows, we will meet again." With that, he departed at once, streaking across the sky before Xiao Kuei could speak another word. "Farewell, Martial Uncle Han." With the carriage already far away, she could only hurriedly curtsy, remaining suspended in the air as she watched the fading streak of light vanish beyond the horizon. Only then did her subordinates finally approach. Senior Xiao, who was that senior? Was he a nascent soul cultivator? He looked so young. Xiao Kuei withdrew her spiritual sense, her expression turning cold. She swept her gaze across them and said icily, "Do not speak of this again. He is a nascent soul senior who once showed me great kindness. He is not someone for idle gossip. Continue the patrol." Her subordinates immediately fell silent. With the wind-riding chariot's astonishing speed, Han Li and Cultivator Song soon arrived near the border of the war camp. Finding the chariot too conspicuous, Han Li put it away and continued forward, using personal flight. Throughout this time, Cultivator Song tactfully remained silent regarding what had transpired earlier, a discretion Han Li quietly approved of. Before them rose a massive light barrier, dense and radiant with countless shifting hues enveloping the entire war camp. Before Han Li even released Cultivator Song from his flight light, a guarding cultivator hurried forward to greet them. After confirming Han Li's identity, he promptly opened a passage through the barrier. Upon entering the camp, Han Li parted ways with Cultivator Song. She went to report to Lu Luo before joining the Cultivator division assigned to her. Han Li, meanwhile, headed straight toward the heart of the war camp, where Master Sunreach and the others were waiting. They were clearly pleased by his arrival. After exchanging a few polite greetings, they briefed him on several arrangements for the upcoming battle. Lacking much interest, Han Li soon excused himself. He then entered a temporary stone chamber, sat down cross-legged, and quietly began to hone his spirit and strength, awaiting the storm to come. Han Li calmly sat down within the stone chamber. As time slowly slipped by, the spiritual power he had expended on his journey gradually recovered, flowing back through his meridians like a quiet tide. When he opened his eyes once more, a faint smile curved his lips. Ever since cultivating the Azure Essence sword arts to the 10th layer, he could clearly sense that his spiritual power replenished itself far more swiftly than before. The realization brought him no small measure of satisfaction. It was an unexpected, yet welcome gain. With this thought lingering in his mind, Han Li murmured softly to himself before retrieving a wooden box that shimmered with a faint black radiance. Several restriction talismans were affixed to its surface, each one sparkling with a cold azure glow. With a casual sweep of his hand, the talismans detached themselves, fluttering like fallen leaves before vanishing into his sleeve. He tapped the box lightly and its lid slid open. Resting within was a palm-sized talisman densely covered in complex characters. Amid the interwoven runes, the faint image of a small crimson flood dragon could be seen, coiling and roaming restlessly across its surface as if alive. Han Li reached out, beckoning gently. The talisman lifted itself and flew obediently into his palm. Over the past few days, he had failed 3 times before finally managing to refine this talisman. Though he could not yet ascertain its full might, it was undoubtedly weaker than the spirit subjugation talismans described in ancient records. After all, the flood dragon's soul had been severely weakened by those failed attempts. Even so, only actual combat would reveal its true power. Han Li gently traced the characters etched upon the talisman, his gaze deepening as his thoughts drifted. His expression subtly shifted again and again, reflecting the countless considerations passing through his mind. While Han Li pondered in solitude several tens of kilometers away, deep beneath the Mulan encampment, a group of mysterious figures were engaged in tense discussion within an underground chamber. There were 7 in total, 5 men and 2 women. Among them, 1 man and 1 woman concealed themselves beneath black robes, their auras carefully suppressed. Of the remaining spell warriors, 2 would have been immediately recognizable to Han Li: the woman surnamed La Wielder of the Ancient Lantern, whom he had once battled at the Yellow Dragon Mountains, and the middle-aged scholar who had pursued him relentlessly for days on end, the Divine Sage. As for the other 3, one was a shriveled old man with dark skin. Another was a short man, not even 4 meters tall, and the last was a tall, imposing figure, clad in richly embroidered robes, his bearing majestic and dignified. Sage Le, the shriveled old man, spoke, his voice calm, yet commanding. "How are the preparations for the spirit oil? You should be well aware that the holy bird can only manifest in this world, so long as the sacred lantern continues to burn. There must be no mistakes." Though deep wrinkles lined his face, his eyes were bright and piercing, betraying a keen and vigilant mind. The green-robed woman surnamed Le replied respectfully, "Divine Sage Ju, please rest assured. My clan views this battle as a matter of survival. We have brought forth all the spirit oil accumulated over more than 1,000 years. It will be more than sufficient to sustain the holy bird throughout the battle." Satisfied, the old man turned his gaze toward the middle-aged scholar. "Brother Zhong, were there any issues with organizing the Grand Spirit Technique formations? Our magic tools are inferior in number compared to the Heavenly South cultivators. We must rely on these formations to suppress them." The scholarly man replied evenly, "There are no problems. The centuries I spent studying spell formations were not in vain. I have already arranged several new grand formations for the assault. If the Heavenly South cultivators are expecting the techniques of the past, they will surely suffer for it. The old man nodded faintly. Very well. Brother B, once the melee begins, have the high-grade spell warriors summon the void spirit beasts. Let them charge, first absorb the cultivators' attacks, and drain as much of their magic power as possible. The short man acknowledged the order. Turning then to the black-robed man, the old man's tone softened slightly. Sect Master Fang, we will require the cooperation of your sect's huge beasts. Before the battle begins, I will hand them over, the black-robed man replied coldly. However, I trust that you will not go back on what we agreed upon. His final words carried an unmistakable undercurrent of threat. The shriveled old man's expression flickered before he responded indifferently. Back out. Sect Master Fang jests. How could we be foolish enough to offend your esteemed sect before a decisive battle against the cultivators? In any case, your sifting Yin sect is one of the 10 great Devil Dao sects of the Jin Empire. Once our Mulan tribes seize the Heavenly South, repaying this debt will be trivial. Allowing you to govern a few mortal nations is of no consequence to us. As for the lives of the Yan clan mortals, he paused briefly, then sneered. We care nothing for them. The black-robed man nodded, his voice emotionless. That is good. Were it not for those righteous Dao cultivators destroying our sect's protecting treasure, we would not require such a vast number of living souls to restore it. Otherwise, we would have had no reason to involve ourselves in this war. Gathering so many souls within the Jin Empire would inevitably draw the attention of the righteous Dao. While we do not fear them, it would delay the restoration of the treasure. The black-robed woman beside him spoke next, her voice hoarse and rasping, eerily mismatched with her petite frame. Furthermore, all cultivator souls that perish in this battle shall belong to our sect. Divine Sage Ju surely has no objections to this. At her words, the old man's expression subtly shifted. Naturally, we have little concern over the fate of cultivators' souls. However, can you truly distinguish them from those of our spell warriors? In previous battles, we turned a blind eye to your indiscriminate collection. This time we wish for things to be different. We are willing to compensate you in other ways. That is impossible. The black-robed man's voice turned icy. The souls of cultivators and spell warriors are indistinguishable. Even if a method existed, tens of thousands will die tomorrow. Do you truly expect us to separate each one? Or do the 3 divine sages intend to break our agreement? His eyes narrowed, glowing with eerie green light as a sinister, chilling aura surged from his body. Brother Zhong and Brother B were inwardly furious. Though neither acted openly, silver and crimson light respectively flickered faintly from their bodies as they stared coldly at the black-robed man. The embroidered robed man and the woman surnamed Li likewise glared at him with evident displeasure. They had long harbored resentment toward the harvesting of spell warrior souls. A clash with these Devil Dao cultivators from the Jin Empire had always seemed inevitable. The old man let out a heavy sigh, his face darkening. Enough. What do you think you are doing? Sect Master Fang is a guest I personally invited. Do you hold me in such little regard? The black-robed woman quickly sent a voice transmission. Upon hearing it, the green light in the man's eyes faded and his oppressive aura dissipated. The others likewise withdrew their spiritual power. Though these Devil Dao cultivators were deeply unpleasant, they were indispensable allies, and this was hardly the time for internal conflict. After a moment of grim deliberation, the old man clenched his teeth. Very well. You may gather the souls, but only in secrecy after the battle. Under no circumstances can this be seen. Otherwise, we cannot guarantee what consequences may follow. The black-robed man's gaze flickered. He nodded once. Agreed. Though dissatisfied, the Mulan spell warriors had no choice but to accept. At that moment, the embroidered robed man spoke up. Are your sect's preparations truly reliable? Are you not overestimating yourselves? The Heavenly South also possesses Devil Dao cultivators. Won't they see through your schemes? The black-robed man sneered. Devilish cultivators. They barely qualify. They practice only shallow surface-level techniques. Even if they fancy themselves adept in the Devil Dao, they merely scratch its skin. How could they comprehend the true viciousness of ancient Devil Dao arts? Brother B chuckled darkly. Is that so? Then how do you explain one of your sect's elders being slain instantly by a Heavenly South cultivator of the same cultivation level? Are you not underestimating them? The black-robed man's eyes flashed coldly. He snorted, saying nothing more. Seizing the moment, the black-robed woman spoke again. There is another matter. The cultivator who wields golden lightning, he is of some use to our sifting yin sect. I hope the three divine sages can hand him over to us. What do you say? The shriveled old man frowned. Hand him over? What? Are the three of you unwilling to agree to such a minor request? Her voice grew even more hoarse, edged with irritation. The old man stared at her, an odd smile tugging at his lips. If it were merely an ordinary early nascent soul cultivator, that would pose no issue. But the matter involves a magic treasure refined from golden lightning bamboo. That changes things. The woman's expression darkened. So fellow Taoist Jew has already guessed it. The old man nodded calmly. Though the Mulan plains are somewhat impoverished, we are not ignorant. We know of the three divine woods of the cultivation world. While few understand the divine devil-bane lightning, we are not among them. Seeing his intent laid bare, the black-robed man spoke coldly. Since you know of the divine devil-bane lightning, you should also know that our devil Dao sects cannot allow such a treasure to fall into another's hands. State your conditions. The old man's wrinkled face slowly twisted into a cryptic smile. It is simple. I have heard that besides the huge beasts, your sect has refined many copper-armored corpses. At the critical juncture of tomorrow's battle, I hope Sect Master Fang will command them to lend us assistance. No matter how thorough our preparations, we cannot predict the cultivator's response. It is only prudent to be cautious. After a brief silence, the black-robed man replied, I did not expect fellow Taoist Jew to be so well informed regarding our sect's secret techniques. Copper-armored corpses are easily refined, but losing too many at once would be troublesome for us. If these are your conditions, then you must ensure that the cultivator is captured alive. When the shriveled old man heard the sect master's words, his expression darkened. He spoke grimly. Capture him alive. Is Brother Fang jesting? You should know that fellow Taoist Zhong has already fought him once. Not only does that man possess lightning movement techniques, he also commands a blood movement art, the likes of which we have never seen before. We are incapable of blocking him. With abilities of such breadth, even we would struggle to restrain him. Fellow Taoists, do you truly believe this is feasible? If the request were merely to kill him and seize his golden lightning bamboo magic treasure, that would be far more realistic. To his surprise, the black-robed man immediately amended his demand. Since capturing him alive is so difficult, then killing him will suffice. The shriveled old man exchanged a glance with the other spell warriors. A brief discussion followed through voice transmission. Moments later, they nodded in agreement. With that settled, the group shifted their focus to the finer details of the coming battle, their voices growing low and intent. Within a grand hall of the Cultivator war camp, Master Sunreach Wei Wuya and several others were deep in discussion. In addition to the three great cultivators and Long Han, there were two others present. A striking woman dressed in crimson robes and a bald old man with piercing eagle-like eyes. The old man's gaze was sharp and narrowed. On his finger rested a gleaming jade ring engraved with faint talismanic markings, an object that radiated an unmistakable air of rarity. Fellow Taoist Heaven-Venge Master Sunreach said with a mild smile, This war will depend on all of us. We will draw the main forces of the Spell Warrior army here. Meanwhile, you and your companions will secretly infiltrate Soaring Heaven's city and seize everything within its resource depot. Even if the Mulan manage to utilize some of those supplies beforehand, if we prolong this battle, they will collapse without spirit stones or materials to sustain them. His tone was calm, as though no past unpleasantness had ever existed between them. So long as you can restrain the Mulan divine sages at the border infiltrating Soaring Heaven's city, will pose no great difficulty. The eagle-eyed old man replied, his voice like stones grinding together, harsh and unsettling. Especially with the transportation formation fellow Taoist Wei has provided, entering the city directly will be even simpler. However, I must ask, why would the Mulan leave such vital resources behind in the city? Could this not be a trap prepared for us? Devil Concord spoke calmly. Fellow Taoist Heaven-Venge, there is no need for concern. According to our spies within the Mulan tribes, although they have occupied the states of Feng Yuan and Ye, they possess no independent supply of resources. Before our evacuation, we destroyed all spirit stone mines and material sources. Despite the Mulan mortals' best efforts, they have been unable to restore them in such a short time. At present, they are consuming a shared reserve of spirit stones pooled from each tribe. These stones are distributed from a secret storehouse protected by an extremely powerful grand restriction. with several sages guarding it. With these safeguards, even if an attack occurs, they will have ample time to transport the resources away. By all accounts, the storehouse should be impregnable. Wei Wuya let out a cold smile. Unfortunately for them, they did not expect that after so many years of war, we would succeed in placing spies among their ranks, just as they did with ours. One of the sages guarding that storehouse is one of our own. When the time comes, he will deactivate the Grand Formation. Fellow Taoist, heaven venge, as long as you and your men act discreetly, we will catch them completely unprepared. You all sound exceedingly confident, Heaven Venge said flatly. But I cannot help asking, what will my reward be once this is over? Long Han answered with a smile. After the war concludes, the four superpowers will jointly cede a portion of land within the state of Shu to you. You may establish your own sect there, and we will not interfere in the slightest. From that day forward, you will stand as a sect founder. Good. Heaven Venge nodded slowly. Since you are so confident, my companions and I will give it a try. It is already late. I will return to make preparations. Tomorrow we set out and infiltrate the state of Shu. Clearly satisfied, the eccentric made no attempt to linger. With a brief farewell, he departed and soon vanished from sight. Devil Concord frowned slightly. That eccentric's chances of success are quite high. He will be bringing those vagrant eccentrics along as well. Each of them possesses formidable abilities. If the Mulan are unprepared, failure is unlikely. Long Han nodded. Fellow Taoist, Yi speaks truly. As long as we tie down the Mulan divine sages, Heaven Venge will most likely succeed. Still, I didn't expect that at his age he would desire to found a sect, let alone gather so many wandering cultivators to form a faction of his own. It is unexpected. Master Sunreach chuckled softly. I see it differently. Heaven Venge has been at mid-nascent soul stage for at least 300 years. Having failed to break through to late nascent soul after so long, he has likely accepted his limits. In that case, seeking glory elsewhere is only natural. Becoming a sect founder will earn him considerable prestige. Moreover, he has made enemies of many great sects. This is his opportunity to negotiate terms with us. His arrival is an unexpected boon. Enough, Master Sunreach said, his tone sharpening. Though Heaven Venge handles our subterfuge, we cannot afford carelessness at the start of this battle. We must win. If we are defeated, no amount of stolen resources will matter. He paused, then turned to Wei Wuya. Brother Wei, will your 9 nations union be able to counter their grand spirit technique formations? That is the spell warrior's most common tactic in large-scale combat. Wei Wuya replied calmly, after so many years of war, our understanding of spirit technique formations rivals that of their own masters. If not for the incompatibility of techniques, our 9 nations union would have long since employed such formations ourselves. Fellow Taoist Sunreach need not worry. Satisfied, Master Sunreach turned his gaze toward the tall black-robed man. Devil Concord spoke without prompting. Our 6 Devil Tao sects are fully prepared. Not only has the controlling spirit sect deployed its 3 sect-protecting beasts, but our harmonious bond sect has also made arrangements to release the dual yin-yang devils from their seals. The ghost spirit sect's myriad souls formation stands ready as well. As for the remaining sects, each has its own preparations. Fellow Taoist Sunreach has the righteous Tao Alliance prepared its killing moves. Our preparations are already underway, Master Sunreach replied curtly. Each sect has opened its ancestral halls and retrieved powerful ancient treasures. They will not disappoint. Devil Concord nodded, his expression easing slightly, as though he had expected nothing less. Long Han sighed faintly. Our heavenly Tao union lags behind in this regard. While preparations are being made, I know few specifics. As for the Phoenix Cry sect, they have retrieved several ancient jade talismans from storage. Their power will be enlightening for the Mulan. However, given the passage of time, their strength has waned. Once used, they will be completely exhausted. Ancient jade talismans. Master Sunreach raised a brow. I did not expect the Phoenix Cry sect to possess such treasures. I trust the other Heavenly Tao Alliance sects will not disappoint either. That being the case, our main concerns now are the black-robed men and the wagered battles. He hesitated briefly before asking Brother Yi those black-robed men use Devil Tao techniques. Were you able to identify them? Devil Concord snorted. Their arts are Devil Tao without question, yet I have never encountered techniques of that sort. I cannot judge them precisely. But one thing is certain, their Devil Dao cultivation is far more pure and refined than that of the 6 Devil Dao sects of the Heavenly South. Moreover, their techniques bear resemblance to those of the Ghost Spirit sect. The Ghost Spirit sect. Master Sunreach pondered briefly before his expression grew grave. We do not know how many of these black-robed cultivators exist. During the siege of Soaring Heaven City, 8 of them appeared all at nascent soul stage. They are clearly from the same sect. As for their origin, could they hail from the Grand Empire of Jin? No one looked surprised. It seemed all had arrived at the same conclusion. At last the red-clothed woman spoke, her voice cold and sharp. Humph, even if they are from the Jin Empire, so what? Given how secretive they are hiding, as though afraid of exposure. It is obvious they are either a single devilish sect, or merely one branch of it. What is there to fear? Treat them as spell warriors and feign ignorance of anything else. Master Sunreach nodded. Lady Feng speaks sensibly. Even if a Jin Empire Devil Dao faction fully supports the Mulan, we will not hand the Heavenly South over to them, no matter how powerful they may be. That is true, Longhan added. But we must also consider that Jin Empire Devil cultivators possess superior magic treasures and countless secret techniques. They may interfere in tomorrow's wagered battles through hidden schemes. That will be troublesome. Many of their methods are impossible to defend against. It matters little, Master Sunreach said calmly. I have already considered this. Do you remember the Great Truth sect's restriction-breaking bead? Longhan's eyes widened in astonishment. The restriction-breaking bead, the single-use magic tool capable of destroying restrictions. But isn't it only effective against low-grade formations? The barriers used in the wagered battles, those capable of withstanding nascent soul attacks, can they truly be dissolved by such a treasure? That's all for today's content. See you in the next part. Support me by becoming a member. It will give me more motivation. Thank you so much.